Okay, we are live. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Hour. Today is Friday, the 20th of December. So this is the last one of the year. I'll be coming back on the. Actually, good idea. Maybe I should look at the calendar. I think it's the second week in January. Let me just give you 2 seconds, so at least I can give you the exact date. So yeah, I'll be back on the 10th, the 10th of January. Yeah, I like your ears, Pierre. Well done. Okay. Let's get started. So today, obviously, we're gonna have like 3 weeks pretty much where we can enjoy our families, enjoy Christmas and whatever. But obviously, crypto doesn't stop. The stocks and shares markets, do close for the Christmas periods, but crypto doesn't. It's 24/7. And as you can see, things can move pretty quickly. So first of all, what just happened yesterday? And let's go and look at that first, just to understand as we know, that crypto it's not an island, doesn't just work on its own. It's part of the wider economy. And yesterday's move was, related to that. So let me go and share, first of all. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see, this past 3 days have been pretty brutal in terms of drop. We dropped over $10,000 now from we had a high that was created on Tuesday, which was over 108,000, and we dropped all the way back now to 295. Now, first of all, why do these things happen? And the main thing that caused this is the announcements on Wednesday of the cut in interest rates from the US. Now, you were thinking, well, it's pretty much as the market was expecting. So a 0.25% cut. Oh, sorry, you have to excuse me. Today, I got a horrible sore throat, so I'm struggling to speak sometimes. Okay, so it was as the market expected, cut between from 4.75 to 4.5%. So why there has been such a sell-off, across not just crypto but across other markets as well, including stocks and shares, including property, bonds, etc., etc. Now, it's not so much this that's is exactly as the market expected, but is the statement. Okay, so doing the statement, it was said that the cut was coming more to help the job market rather than because inflation is coming down, because inflation has been pretty stubborn, let's say around 2.7, 2.6, 2.7%. And what they have said is because this inflation is still a problem. So the outlook for 2025 is of a slower pace in cuts that was previously announced. So and this is, what they are saying now. What they are saying and what will happen in reality is two separate things. But now the market is repriced from the expectation of having four interest rate cuts next year to just 2. Okay, and so what does that mean? Obviously, if the interest rates are staying higher, that means that it's loans, not just for ourselves as consumers in terms of mortgages, in terms of loans, are more expensive, but also the cost of borrowing for a business are higher. So as a result of having higher cost, then that means as well that the economy maybe will not grow as fast as expected, because they have this higher burden to carry. So today, by the way, we also have an announcement in the UK, for the official, yesterday, that kept the interest rates at 4.75%. And say previously in the week, I mean, there was nothing really too important to move the market extensively. But the only thing that we can say is that in several countries now, we are seeing inflation readings, they're starting to tick up again, or at least they're not going down as much as expectation. Okay, so we know that Canada actually cut the interest rate as well this month, and those are the reason why in certain there are different economic situation in different parts of the world. For example, in Japan, and again they announced a policy rate this week as well, yesterday, that kept it at 0.25%. In Japan, they have the opposite problem, as they would love to raise interest rates, but the economy is not strong enough to support higher interest rates, higher costs. So they are forced to keep this rate artificially low, because this is more of a fundamental reason. So what this caused has been a repricing of many things, as you can see, not just Bitcoin, and the rest of crypto as well has been affected, but also, if we go and have a look at where is my Nasdaq? So this is a chart of the Nasdaq 100, the technology index in the US. As you can see, this has dropped quite a bit as well. But let's put things into perspective. So when you're saying it has dropped, and yes, you can see that many different markets have dropped, like this one, for example, by 5%. But then that only takes us back to the previous all-time high from November. So it's not saying they're not saying that there has been a massive sell-off, and kind of like everybody ran for the hills. So let's put it into perspective. This is where we started 2024, and this is the Nasdaq, not even crypto. Okay, so it grew 41%. Now we're going back to 34. So yes, we dropped a little bit from 41 to 33, but it's still like it's been an incredibly successful year. So this is the Nasdaq. This is the S&P 500, a wider base index. So again, it's grown 30% up at the all-time high, and now we dropped back to about 24%. Now 24% again. If we finish the year at this point at 24%, or even if we drop back, around 20%, it will be a really successful year from the point of view increase, the average increase of prices in these indexes. Now, let's going back to Bitcoin. Sorry, no, it's not the one that I wanted to see. Where are you? Okay, going back to Bitcoin. So this is again where we move the share. So this is the initial move of when the ETFs were announced, were introduced. And then we had this big, sideways period between March and just recently, really, beginning of November. And this has been the latest jump from about 70,000 to almost 110. Now, if we have at the moment the correction, yes, although it's everybody feels it because it's it's been like 12%. It's dropped to 12% in kind of 3 days. Now, 12%, it's a lot, but in Bitcoin's terms, is not a lot. What happens time and time again during market corrections is that the market drops 25, 30% quite easily. So if we were to get a drop of about the same, where will that take us? And as you can see, you see the first green area that I've highlighted. That's about, the top of it is 28% down and the bottom is 31. So this is an area, this is a structure, it's an area of demand for those of you that do a little bit of trading. And if we had a serious correction, I mean, that would be the point where I'll be looking, for a turnaround. Failing that, but although the one thing that is to say about this is still above the previous all-time high. So the more conservative one, and possibly will mean a drop of around 40%, will mean coming down to this one here, which is in the mid 60s. So I'm not saying it will happen, but it's for Bitcoin it's on the cards. Does it mean that everything is finished? Absolutely not. So the fundamentals are still the same. We are still at the lowest level of Bitcoin on exchanges that we've ever had. So there is a very shortage of Bitcoin, and now there are several entities that are started to buy Bitcoin on an institutional level. So companies like not just MicroStrategies, but other companies that are not only buying Bitcoin as a strategic, as a treasury. For their treasury, but they also borrowing money to buy Bitcoin. Okay, and that includes some of the for example, some of the Bitcoin miners like Marathon and Riot Blockchain are now actually not just mining Bitcoin, but they're also buying them, and many other companies are following the same the same structure of borrowing money to go out and buy Bitcoin on the stock exchange. Even if they don't, it's now becoming a kind of like institutional asset, especially as there has been, I don't know if you followed it in the news, but this week, one of the announcements of the week is that, you all know MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, which is the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin. It has almost, it's getting close to about 500,000 Bitcoin. They're now been, in December, they are being accepted they're going to start being part of the Nasdaq or the Nasdaq index, the Nasdaq 100. So why is that relevant? It is relevant because there are like pension funds, institutional investment funds that buy the market. Okay, so they buy the S&P 500, they buy the Nasdaq, and buying the Nasdaq now means that a portion of, when you sometimes you say, oh, I bought some QQQ. That QQQ means like you bought a percentage of all the stocks that make up, the Nasdaq 100. Okay, but in a simple ETF. So it makes it easy. Instead of you going out there and buying a chunk of 100 different companies, you just buy, shares on the ETF. It means that you have exposure to all of those companies. Now, that exposure, again, we're talking about big thing because this is not just individual decision of an individual company. Now, being part of the index, then MicroStrategy shares will be part of the investments of these funds. So if you are a US person, for example, and have a pension in the US, from next month, you automatically, part of your pension, probably if your pension funds invest in the Nasdaq, will have a portion of MicroStrategy as well. So these are a big thing. Obviously, any money is invested in MicroStrategy shares and then translates into share price also going up, and then they buy more Bitcoin. But this is why we're talking about this. We're talking about this now. And the other thing is that as we're talking about MicroStrategy, another thing that's happened this week that I wanted to make you aware of is that there has been, I know we talked about this before, but there has been a change in accounting standards in the US. So it has been a different way of pricing cryptocurrencies for corporate holders has been approved, so they can now mark their holdings to market. Okay, so that means that now, first of all, it's going to be a lot easier for corporate investors like MicroStrategy, Marathon, Riot, and anybody else, Tesla, anybody else has bought Bitcoin as a company in the US. First of all, the accounting of these coins is going to be a lot easier for them. And also, they will report it at market prices, where before now, it's been in the balance sheets at purchase price. Okay, so it'd be interesting to see what happens when the first earnings are going to be announced. And if we go and have a look, let's have a look. Two of the biggest ones. So let's have a look at MicroStrategy first, and then we're going to have a look at Tesla as well. So the earning reports is on the 4th of February. Okay, so we'll see what happens in the 4th of February. That's for MicroStrategy. Another one that's fairly a big owner of Bitcoin is Tesla. Tesla is going to be the 22nd of January. So we're talking towards the end of the month, end of January. I mean, from MicroStrategy point of view, it's easier to see the effect of this because it's their main activities. They are acting pretty much as almost like a Bitcoin treasury. Tesla obviously, their Bitcoins will have an effect that it will be dwarfed by the car producing activities and so on. Excuse me. Okay. So having said what could happen to Bitcoin, okay, so we're saying that we could see a drop to this to the kind of like low 70s, pretty much like retouching the previous all-time high or around there. But let's see also what has happened in the past. So this is looking at this. So this is that Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay. So these are the performance in from 2013 for Bitcoin, and obviously from 2016 for Ethereum. These are the performance in every quarter. So if we see, for example, like 2021, which is the latest comparable period as would be the first quarter one of 2025, it was 103%. Now, if we put these two together, quarter one or quarter two, you can see, at least we can see more than a 60% increase in the price of Bitcoin. So from 100, where we are now, 100,000, there is a very, very good possibility of touching in the high 100s, maybe low 200s by the end of quarter one. Possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And then the other comparative period, 2017, again, there wasn't a big increase in quarter one, but there was a big increase in quarter two. So even bigger jump in 2017. Now, so if we look even at the quarter before, we had a 60% increase, 12%, 123. 2021, we had a big growth in in December. So the last quarter of 2020, 168, 103, and then there was a correction. So far, what we've had in 2023-24, we've had, 56%. Does it seem similar to what we had here? 56, 58. Then we had a 68. Sorry. Where am I going? So we had a 53% here in Q4, which is very similar to what we had in 2016. And then, what's the expectation for Q1 in 2025? Now, as you can see, I'm not paying too much attention to this in the sense that, things obviously, there's quite a wide variation, throughout the years. But, if you look at the averages, it's meaningful. So on average, we had, Q1 has been pretty good generally, and has been extremely good in the years after the halving. Okay, so if we were to see something like in 2021 or 2017, so whatever happens afterwards, we could expect to see something in the region of 80, 90, 100%. So this is what I'm saying. We haven't really seen anything yet. We say, yes, for Bitcoin has been quite a measurable increase already, but there is still a big for me jump to come. And similar for Ethereum. So this is what we saw in 2020-21. We had 100% Q4, 160% in Q1 2025, and then we carried on until the end of the year. So, Ethereum hasn't reached the all-time high yet in this cycle. But again, what happens if it was to grow an extra, 100% or so? Where we touch, I know that the price has gone down in the past couple of days, but we're still about 3,500. Now, if we were to go 160%, that would take us around 8,000. If that was to happen. Now, in comparable periods, so we had 100% increase in 2020. Q4 at the moment, we are at about, 28.5. So it hasn't done anything compared to the two previous periods. It hasn't done anything yet. So there's still a lot to come. And another bit of news I wanted to share with you. It's already been approved and will be probably start trading in January. Is another ETF. This time, though, it's mixed ETF. It's probably going to be 80% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum. So you will see in 2025 more and more ETFs coming to the market. This is probably the next one. The next one that we should probably see will be a Litecoin ETF, because Litecoin has been deemed not a security. And the next ones they are trying to get approved could be, as there has been talked about, Solana and XRP, although those present a few more problems. But you will see more and more of these now that Bitcoin first and Ethereum after has kind of like broken new ground. You will see now the floodgates starting to open, especially as just put yourself in the mind, not so much of you as an individual investor, but put yourself in the mind of BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Invest, or the providers of the ETFs that have put on the market something that simply has never been seen before. Now, the Bitcoin ETFs in 11 months are now just about to overcome the gold ETF that has been in the market for 20 years. Started trading in 2004 for assets under management. So this is something like it just hasn't happened ever. In thousands of ETFs that have been launched, something has been this successful this quickly has never been seen before. So from the point of view of the providers, do you think they want to put more stuff out there that it's similar to this, that you may want to buy from them? So there is a lot of pressure from the establishment. And this is not, again, it's not like crypto crypto YouTubers are saying this thing. These are BlackRock, the Fidelity. They are people with quite a big clout. They got more under management than many countries in the world. You know, can you know, they generate as business volume. So it's very serious players. They now have an interest in presenting more products on the market that people can buy from them. You know, so they can invest and be part of their ETF, and they charge this lovely, even if it's only like a 0.15%, you know, when you're talking about 40-50 billion, you know, that 0.15% is quite a big sum. Okay, just calculating, you know, 1% of 50 billion is what is 500 million. So 0.1% is 50 million. So quite a chunky fee for doing. At the end of the day, these are passive funds, so they don't do much with this. They just take your money and buy Bitcoin with it, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so for doing that, they're going to be paid. So we said there is 50 million per 0.1%. Most of them charge 0.25%. So it's 125 million for the privilege of just doing something that you could do yourself by putting your money on Binance and buying Bitcoin with it if you wanted to, or just and then transfer it to your ledger if you wanted. But obviously, this is something that you could do yourself, but you know, a pension fund couldn't do it because they need a regulated environment to be able to do it. And so this is why these funds are important. Now, let me just. So today I wanted to be fairly light in terms of news. I've got a little present for you that that you might be interested in or not, and I'll tell you that in a second. But so what I wanted to go through is just having started preparing you for what we're going to see in the next, at least in the next quarter, maybe the next 2, maybe the next 3, maybe the next 4. We don't know yet when that is going to finish. But one thing that we do know is that if we look down here, you see all these total. Okay, so these are the total aggregates for crypto. Okay, the total is the total market cap of all the crypto market. At the moment stands at $3.2 trillion. If we deduct Bitcoin, we have the total 2, which stands at 1.29. Total 3, if we deduct Ethereum as well, we stand at about 900 billion. Let's go and have a look at that. So you see where we are. So once we eliminate Bitcoin and Ethereum, we just about made a new all-time high, but just for a couple of days. And then we're still well below the all-time high for what is considered the altcoin. Now, if we remove the top 10, then we got this other aggregate, which is where it says others. It stands now at 310 billion. So is that all the altcoin together, excluding the top 10? As you can see now, those are dropped heavier because this is the way they operate, because these are the ones that are more volatile. So they drop more than Bitcoin and Ethereum would, but at the same time they do, when they start growing very, very fast. Like we've seen here in November, where was it? From the 26th November, 3rd of November, was 190 billion. It grew to about 450. Okay, so 380. So it's about 150% growth in a month, while Bitcoin went from 75 to 110. So Bitcoin grew whatever, it's about 50%, and the altcoins grew by 150%. Okay, but again, where are we now? So we haven't even reached a new all-time high yet. So there is still a long way to go from where we are now. So for me, we haven't even started what I will define as the bull market. We're still about 60% away from that. Okay, so the bull market is when you see, coins that maybe you haven't even heard of before start growing by, 20, 20-30% a day for weeks and weeks and weeks, in something that is nothing like anything you have seen before. So that we haven't even started doing that. So there's still, for me, we're still in a getting ready, getting at the the starter blocks and getting ready to go. So at the moment we are in a kind of like a meaningful correction, but it's still, if we look at where have we come from this year. Sorry, I'm still always got the zoom controls on the way. Let me just get these off on the side. So if we see what we started doing in 2023 and 2024, and we really kind of like zoom out, it's clear to see the patterns. So you see what I'm saying? This is where we are right now. But if you are thinking, well, if it was a chart of anything, let alone that you know what it is, you would say, actually, this is very promising. We're seen as a really nice, well-defined uptrend with deep corrections. But you'll be interested to, if you saw something like that, the first thought you would have, okay, I'm interested. Where would be the best place to to buy this? Okay, so this is what I wanted to to actually share with you, and just to compare it, this is where we are right now. Okay, so this is the equivalent in 2020. Just to put it into perspective. So this move, okay, that we had here, it's equivalent to this move. Okay, so this is what we saw in 2020. If we were to have the same thing in 2021, I'm not just this is just, I'm joking because it's Christmas, okay? But how many times does this fit into this? Let's just do it, and without 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7, 8 times. Now, so if we said that we could have this same move repeated, let's say even 5 times. Okay, so this move here was, let's actually, if we move from here, let's say 5 times. Okay, so that move here was 190, was about 260 billion times 5. So okay, can you imagine that? So just do the calculation. 260 billion. If we had this move now and adding, let's say another trillion to this, that will mean that I don't even know where Bitcoin will be in that case, but I will know that the altcoin market will go absolutely crazy, because we'll go from the maximum that we ever seen, that we haven't even reached this year, would be at least trebled. Okay, so if from 400 billion we go to 1.5 trillion for the altcoins excluding the top 10, there's some fun to have for everybody. Now, having said that, so this is what could happen. The one thing I wanted to make sure with you, that you don't get caught, and so we already discussed it last week, kind of like don't, for something like this to happen, that means that there is a lot of money to be made, but you don't need to go and find the moonshots. So you don't need to go on Facebook and go and say, oh, this is the fantastic new coin. No, the coins that have been working hard for the past 3-4 years, they've gone through the bear market, are the ones they are poised to take advantage of this, because they have done the work, they got the personnel, they got the programmers to go ahead and so on. Those are the ones that really will do well in this cycle. Yes, there is going to be a meme coin or something like that does 10,000%, but frankly, you get one right and you get 20 wrong. So it's maybe not the best strategies to do that. But one thing I wanted to discuss with you is, as usual, let's go back before. Let's say that you started at the moment, you haven't bought any any crypto coins and you would like to buy some. Okay, so the first thing, what's the first thing you do? First thing you do is decide, okay, have I got any resources to allocate to this? So let's say that you got money, let's make things easy. You got money in a bank account, okay, as a reserve, a savings or whatever. Okay, the first decision that you need to make is that, okay, what percentage of that would I want to invest? Okay, and secondly, what do I want this money to do for me? Because forget about what crypto will do, will grow, coins that will grow 20, 30, 40 times, because that is going to really confuse you in the next few months. What you should decide is that, what do I want from this? And then be religious in thinking, okay, once I know that I want, I don't know, I want to buy a new car. I want to define it. It's even better if you define in non-monetary terms. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, I want this, for example, to produce a capital that can invested in traditional means can allow me to have 5 holidays per year. Or you understand what I'm saying? Start defining it in what you would like to do. Secondly, then you price, once you've decided what this pot of money you want to do for you, then price it in. Decide, okay, how much will that cost to get that done? And then you go back and thinking, okay, I've got, I don't know, 10K that I want to invest in that. I want, by the end of this, I've calculated that I want to have, I don't know, 3Ks a year. Okay. So 3Ks a year in traditional means, they say that you know enough to be able to generate 10% a year from your investments. So if you know that if you want 3,000 a year and you can make 10%, then you need a capital that's worth 30,000. So from your 10,000, the goal would be to treble your money. So it doesn't really matter if some of the coins you invest will grow 100 times. What you want from your total investment, because this is what you've decided your goal is to treble your money. So start adjusting your goals and the coins that you buy accordingly, so that you know that when you reach that target, you actually take profits. Because otherwise, you're just going to have a paper gain that it's like we've seen, it can change very quickly. Because some coins, to do this, they're already, as I said, the Bitcoin has dropped 10%. Some of the altcoins have dropped 30%. Okay, so this can happen very, very quickly. So what I'm saying is that once you have hit your goals that you are aiming for, then take profits. Okay, you can always get back in if this is what you want to do, but do start taking the habits of cashing in. Okay, at least you know that you have obtained a result, and especially the result that you were happy with when you started. Okay, and then you might want, if things go exceptionally well, then you can reassess and readjust your goal, but do take profits along the way, and don't get shaken out. Don't get shaken out too early either. Yes, take profits, but bear in mind that what we will probably see will be a generational thing that's going to happen. And you want to have your profit targets that are reasonable, but at the same time, don't get out with things that are comparable to a normal investment. Okay, so don't get out when you made 5-10%, because then you will be leaving the big time on the table. So do something that's still reasonable according to you, but not too crazy and not too humble in the same way, because these kind of moves don't happen very often. Okay, present for the year. And this is, again, do look it up, because I'm not telling you to buy anything or do anything, but there is something that I think will still be available for the next 2 or 3 days. Okay, I don't know how many of you have heard of Beam as a token. Beam token? Where is it? Where are you? Beam. Okay, so it's a gaming token on Avalanche, and they are going to launch soon their own blockchain as well. Now, what they are doing now, they are doing a node token sale. So I will so this is the Medium page. So here you can read all about it if you want. So I'll post these links in the chat. So this is the Beam page. Okay, and in particular, what I wanted to share with you here, introducing Beam nodes. So this is eventually are the tokens that if you want to be a validator on Beam, you need to stake at least one of these tokens. Okay, so I'll copy that as well, so you can, it's easy for you to refer to. So and you can read these articles. I'm not going to read it all for you, but so there is this sale at the moment of these node tokens that you can, I mean, if you're technically minded like Jonathan, you could run on one of those nodes yourself. But if you're not, you can, even if you bought one, you can then stake it with somebody that does. So they will take a small percentage of the rewards, and you take the rest. So at the moment, you can mint the tokens. There isn't a limit, so there isn't you don't have to rush in terms of, you know, there's only so many available. At the moment, the first week is completely open. You can the cost is $1,250, which you can pay in USDC, Beam, Ethereum, or AVAX. Okay. And you can do it, you know, with your wallet, like with your MetaMask wallet, or with you not through your exchange. Okay, don't do this through your Binance or Kraken exchange or whatever. You can't do that. You need a decentralized wallet. Okay, so a MetaMask, a Ledger, or whatever else, you know, whatever other Trezor or whatever other wallet you have. But at the moment, the price is $1,250 for the first week. I think this was 6 days ago, and I think it was like a couple of days before it was launched. So there is literally 1 or 2 days left if you're interested. And then after week 1, the price will go to $3,750. Okay, and what having that token will allow you to do is that when you stake it, so once there is this change I need to do on the Avalanche chain that is going to happen in between the end of January and the end of the first quarter. Once that will happen, then you'll be able to mint your node token, and then you can delegate it if you want to somebody else, or that if you want, you could run your own node. But that will give you then you know, a right to be rewarded, as you can see here. So most of the rewards will be on Beam, so we'll get then a transaction fees on the Beam network, but you get other rewards, and you get other token like these ones here, so like Tom, Sagads, and ATH, and so on. So there was kind of I've always been I'm still looking at, to be honest with you. I'm not telling you because I have bought any. I haven't bought any yet. I am minded I'll probably buy one. But I'm not telling you because you should do it, but I'm thinking it's one of those things. I remember a few years ago there was a similar opportunity in Gala, which is another gaming token. A Gala node was on sale. I remember in 2021 for about, at the time it was like $3,000, and then in a few months' time it went all the way to almost 90,000. And that gave you the right not just to have token, but also to get regularly to be rewarded with NFTs and other things, you know. So it could be one of those things that they are like an opportunity. They already raised over 30 million through the sale of these nodes. And the interesting thing is that they don't need actually this money. So they're not raising capital. What they're going to do with this money, they're going to burn Beam tokens. It's just a way of getting the community on board and to have enough validators on the on the chain when it launches. So they want to make sure there's a properly decentralized chain. So they are doing this to encourage the more and more validators to come on board. And also they don't want it to be too centralized. So there is an upper limit to how many of these node tokens you can actually buy. Although it's a high number, but I think it's about 1,000. But there is a limit, so because we don't want everything to be centralized in a few people. So what you do is that you go on to basically you go into this site. You can see the min fee, which is nodes on beam.com. It's on the article anyway. Where is it? There is another one of the articles that we saw before. It was Beam node token mint instruction. So you can open this article, and we'll tell you exactly how to do it. And this is if you click on this nodes on beam.com, it will take you to this site. If you want to do it, then you connect your MetaMask, you pay your fees, and then you cannot mint the token straight away, but you will do when you will be able to do it once the Avalanche upgrade has completed. Again, gonna be they are planning to complete it by the end of January, but it could be, in any case, at the latest will be by the end of Q1. Okay, so you go through the usual thing, you connect wallet. So MetaMask, Rabbit Wallet, the other ones, or you can do through Wallet Connect. And you can connect hundreds of wallets to this. Okay, so that's my thing for the day. Let's see if there are any questions. Let me stop sharing. And again, this is not, guys, I'm not telling you to buy. I don't know, it could be a complete dud, or it could do extremely well. But the Beam token is one of those that I am looking at. It's one that I'm interested. So it could be a decent opportunity. But it's not, it's $1,250. So it's not, it's not cheap. Okay, any questions? Anybody wants to share the Christmas hat, the jumper? Hey, Jonathan, there you are. That comes out.
Minimal effort, but
Are you guys going to the Cardano drinks tonight, or are you passing?
I can't make it. It was Grace's birthday today, so
Okay.
my daughter. Yeah.
I'm passing as well. As you can hear, I've got, I'm not in the best of conditions, so I think a pub evening will probably not be indicated. Okay.
Thanks for persevering anyway.
Yeah. Okay, anybody has anything to share or any questions?
Just on Avalanche, what do you like about Avalanche again? What's the strongest features for it? And in Beam going to a layer 1, that means it won't be Avalanche anymore. It'll just be a clone equivalent.
Well, I think see what Avalanche. The part of the selling point of Avalanche is that it make it very easy for any entity to launch their own either permissionless or permission blockchain. That's one of the selling points. So, and as we saw in the past, there have been already some like the DeFi Kingdom, for example, they launched their own blockchain on Avalanche, and And that's probably the main selling point. So you use all the security and everything from Avalanche, but they can do whatever they can have different settings from the main Avalanche chain. And they're doing work as well, not just with the traditional crypto community, like in this case Beam, but with many companies as well that want to have closed systems but still use blockchain technology.
Right. So the Beam will be a subnet of Avalanche.
As I say, I saw this on social media. I looked it up for about 15 minutes and I thought that looks interesting, but I think today and then I'm going to read it properly. This is why I'm saying don't just take my word for it. Just go and read it yourself and see if something that is interesting for you guys or not. But I saw looking at similar things in the past. So when I know some of the most successful ones, so there have been some unsuccessful ones as well, but some of the most successful ones, for example, have been, apart from the Gala that we said, also Akash network did some similar things. And now there are different, so even World Mobile now is trying to do in a slightly different way, but they're trying to create a network with a physical device. So it's just a slight different way of going about things. But if for me, I'm interested in Beam, apart from this node, I'm interested for them as a gaming network. And they've got very good connections in that. So many things that are going to be launched on Beam itself. So that's my interest, and then we'll see if this does anything. But for me, kind of like it's one of those things that, say, $1,000, yes, I could take it out. It's not like I'm not gonna put my house on it, but that could be interesting.
Yeah, I like anything that's sort of offering you the ability to become an operator. So the decentralized network, I think, is one of the big things this year. Lots of different opportunities out there. Yeah.
I mean, if it's something that you were interested in, that's the only need, I think, to be a validator. I think is one, you need to stake one of those tokens. You need to have 20,000 Beam, which at the moment is about like $5,000. And then the cost of running is about like 1.3 AVAX per month. So those are I think which are at the moment about $50 or something. Apart from your the cost for the technology cost, but AVAX is fairly light in terms of that. And they are, so part of the thing what Beam wanted to do, and part what Avalanche wanted to do as well, is to make the cost of being a validator less and less, so that more people can then take part and making that stronger, rather than as we know in certain networks that you need to invest in in huge technology, the hardware. That's a lot of money to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, thanks. I'll have a look.
Anybody else? Eric?
Look, I'm looking at the 20 years treasury bond. The TLT is gone down a lot. Do you have a feeling it goes down even further?
No. So what happened is that what we were talking about before is simply so if I can show you, so the interest rates have gone down. Where's Eric? Where is my? Oh, okay. So we know that the interest rates has gone down, yeah. And this is what the market thinks of it. That's the only thing. Okay, the interest rate has been cut, but what the market has actually priced in is actually gone up. So at the moment, the interest rate is 4.5%. The market rate is gone up to 4.8. So it's almost gone back up to 5%. This is why, you know, the TLT has gone down, because as the interest on the yield on the bond has gone up, then the price, this is, you know, inversely related to price. So this has been we often see this like knee-jerk reactions, but as the interest rates are cut anyway, so this then the long-term interest rate is expected to fix at about between 3 and 3.5%. So it will be, you know, a drop below the recent low, which was about 5-4%. It just means that you might have to, and if you have bought them, you might have to hold them for a bit longer. But in the meantime, you still receive, depending on where you bought it, you know, you're still receiving this interest every month because they pay monthly the TLT. And so this was the yield on it. The actual instrument is the is this one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see pretty much is an inverted chart or the one that we just seen. At the moment, we are back into an area of demand.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I expected them to bounce back from here, because there's no reason. The only reason why the interest gone up is because there is uncertainty at the moment, and we're still in that transition period in between. So there's still the old president in charge, the old administration in charge until the 20th of January. Okay, and these announcements of slowing down on the cost of interest rates has been of a surprise. The market was not expecting it, and so this is why it's, you can see this big jump, this big jump by, you know, a couple of points yesterday, which is a lot by you know, for something like this. But it's all he has done, really, for me, it just like pushed it back into the buy zone.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless, you know, if this was to stay at levels of 5, 6, 7%, it means the inflation, you know, would have to go back to, you know, 4% and above, which I don't think they would, you know, they can afford to do anymore.
Yep.
You know, so it's and at the same time, you see that they started cutting interest because they're saying, well, the economy is struggling. And so what it's more likely to happen is that this, although they said that they only want to do a couple, that their hand might be forced in having to do a lot more than that to stimulate the job market and the economy. So I'm personally, I've got this in my portfolio as well, and, you know, obviously I would like to see at a higher price, but it doesn't worry me from that point of view, because it's still on the right side of the you know, on the what's it called, the macroeconomics situation. So, you know, as the interest is going to be cut, this, you know, this will go in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that it's not precise, in the sense that, you know, the market rate and the official rate are different. There's a premium on the market rate, a premium that derives on the confidence that the investors have in the administration. Okay, so the more uncertainty there is, the more of a premium they demand, because basically you are lending money to the government. Okay, so if we see that in January, February, things are going to calm down and the volatility goes out a little bit because people are settled down and they're quite happy with the way the things are going, then that premium is going to reduce and the interest rates are going to go back down, and so the price is going to move in the other direction.
Yep.
But the one thing to note is that you do receive, anyway, you see this,
Yep.
these interest 0.3 per share each month. So this, whatever the price does, you're still receiving the same amount of, you know, of dividends. So at least it's not just waiting for the price to change. there is an interest payment as well, coupon payment connected to that.
Thanks very much, Luca.
No problem. Okay, anybody else? No? Well, if there are no more questions, then I will really take this occasion to wish everyone a fantastic Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm going to be back on the 10th of January. I'm not quite sure when the look on the AAW calendar to see when the the long-term session starts again, but I think it's going to be the same week. So probably either the 10th, which I think the first session is probably going to be in the morning anyway, and then the week after going to be the evening session. All right. So have a fantastic holiday, all of you, and I'll see you back in the new year. All right.
Okay. Happy Christmas and New Year, Luca. I said I'd make it this year, didn't I? I told you 3 times.
Yeah.
I made it this year.
Well done, John. Wherever you are, you know that you're the wandering. You know.
Yes.
Every time I see
Tasmania.
one in a different place.
Absolutely.
Thank you very
In
much.
2025.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Luca.
very much.
Thanks, all.
Have a nice Christmas.